Oh shit! I didn't turn the thing on. Where is it? And there it is. Maybe do it.
Oh,
Execute the maneuver. Hello.
Nobody.
We're singing a song. We're doing it badly.
It's a show with Colin and Maria where they talk about some stuff.
And we pretend to sing.
Who knows what the topic will be?
We're very professional.
My mom put in the title. Yeah.
It's about jury selection.
Hello and welcome to Nobody Asked with Maria.
Hello.
And me. I am her son. People don't believe that because I look like an old man. Bless.
I think we look very much alike. I will also say I have gotten some feedback about you, and it's 100% that you're handsome. All that you're handsome. Handsome.
Oh, that's not what they said in the live chat last time, was it? No.
Yes, it was.
No,
They
handsome.
still said you were handsome.
No, handsome for me, just old. But they won't think I'm old anymore once I put my hair in a ponytail like the young folk do. Somebody put on some classic rock.
Do I have classic rock as an option? There's music options. It's probably
All
not
right.
classic rock. Oh, okay, good. I don't have to put it on.
No. Today we'll be discussing such topics as juries. That's the only one that we're talking about. Thank you, Barbie. Thank you. I've always wanted a cat to compliment me, but they've
It's a
never
really cute
spoken.
cat.
Big eyes. Yep, juries. Are you ready to kick it off, Mom?
Sure. Wait, so I'm starting this? Because really, I feel like you're leading this topic a little bit more than me, but I'll say whatever you want me to say.
You're starting. No, you
starting?
start first.
Okay, so we're going to talk
Just
about...
kidding. We got you guys, didn't we? God, we're so freaking clever. All right. Wow, I did not write the ad right read today. Today's episode is brought to you by Suzanne Collins. Have you read our books? No. And by ours, I mean my. I'm a single. Have you read Hunger Games? Because it is not an analogy or an allegory or a metaphor or a simile. There's no symbolism at all.
Oh,
so
no? None?
Nope. So read it for fun. You shouldn't draw anything from it, that's for sure. Suzanne Collins.
Okay.
This makes my... Holy shit! It's man-made in MA. Oh my god.
All right.
Let's go.
Listen, we let's be real. You enjoyed those books, the Hunger Games, as did I.
They banged.
They were good books. Okay. So, are we ready to start then for realsies?
Yes. So you had some historic context for juries, no? That was kind of why I thought that you would start it. But
okay.
I can bring us into like kind of the concept of why juries are necessary. And yeah.
Okay. So did you want to start?
We
just talk about the fact that you have been over the last few months, you've been sitting in on a trial that was going on. And so
yes.
Did you get to watch the actual jury selection process, or were you not in the room for that part?
I was not in the room for that part, but I have an inside source on how that jury selection went, if you'd like me to shed some light on the situation.
Well, I would. And then we can sort of build from there about...
Okay, great. So jury selection in Manhattan is done at the New York Supreme Criminal Court. And if it is a sexual assault case, which this was, they bring an incredibly large number of people because they assume that a lot of people are going to be eliminated because of how high passions are stoked by sexual assault cases. And in a jury selection process, what they do is they bring all of those people that were selected into a room, and they're asked questions by both counsels, both defense and prosecution. And those questions are used to eliminate people on the basis of whether or not they're able to be objective in determining whether or not the defendant is guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. And the thing is that the exactly what makes somebody unable to make that judgment is difficult. Now, here's what they did in this case, this sexual assault case, is the defense attorneys would paint some pretty brutal pictures for those that they were interviewing for the jury selection process. They would paint these pictures, and then, they would attempt to elicit an emotional response, and then ask the question, so if you weren't able to listen to this or pay attention to X fact, would you be able to be objective? And their goal was essentially to get somebody so emotional about something being a sexual assault, especially having sex with somebody that was blackout drunk, which is not sexual assault if they were voluntarily drunk in New York. That's a story for another day. They attempt to get you to say, no, that is sexual assault. So I would find them guilty, because when you're on the jury, your only job is to determine whether or not somebody broke the law as it is written.
Okay. Oh, you muted.
Sorry,
okay.
I was sorry.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Production.
So I did want to say, we can just back up a little bit. Like when we talk about how you even become part of the pool for jurors, in most states, it's whether you're a registered voter or whether you have a driver's license or some sort of a state ID. Interestingly enough, in Manhattan, your girlfriend had neither of those things. And so she literally was summoned and told she needed to... My
girlfriend?
Oh, I'm sorry. This person who who was on the jury.
It was my girlfriend.
She had neither of those things because you guys aren't... you're residents, but, she's there because she's a student. And she was told she needed to register because she lives here. So that's interesting. But most of the time, or very often, it is just based on whether you're a registered voter or you have a driver's license. And so when you talk about, a jury of your peers, I don't know who, depending on the defendant, are you a registered voter? Do you have a driver's license? Are these people do they actually represent people that are like you? It's just a very interesting sort of right out the gate question is, everybody is not getting scooped up in the idea of just using, voter registration and driver license pool.
Yep.
Now, before we get to those hard questions, those voir dire questions that, prosecutors and defense counsel will ask, they have a real basic set of questions that can get you eliminated right off the bat, that are not, they're kind of nothing questions. Are you a U.S. citizen? No? Get out of here. Are you 18? Well, what are you doing here? Get out of here. Do you live in a district that you've been called to jury duty for? No? Get out of here. So there's like all of these really, there's all these really sort of just like very, very like low effort things that'll get you removed right away. Do you speak English adequately enough to be able to listen to what they're saying to you and, pick up on the nuance and be able to really, take in what they're saying? Do you have a disqualifying mental or physical condition? I'm not sure. And I suppose many things would fall into that category. Let's see. Are you currently the subject of a felony? So have you not been tried yet, but are you going to be tried for a felony? You can't be on a jury. Yep. Have you been convicted of a felony previously, and you haven't had your rights restored? So those are the things that are going to get you, kicked out right out of the way. So now we have squashed down the people available even further, and from there's some exemptions. So active duty military, you don't have to. If you are an active duty policeman or fireman. You're not going to be on jury duty. And if you are a full-time public officer, by that it's like, like you're a mayor or you're like a real public official. Those types of things. Not like you work at the DMV. So those types of things will get you exempt also. And then from there, once you've got those people out of the way, then you've got everybody else, and that's when the voir dire happens. Voir dire meaning to speak the truth. That's what it means. And they are going to question you for your suitability. Do you know anything about the case, right? Are you related to the person at trial? Do you have any experiences that might prejudice you from your decision, right? It's going to impact your ability to be objective. And I think that's where they try to get you. That's where all the work is done, right there is in that question, right?
Yep.
So
yeah, that is where the work is done for most of these jury cases. And what's important is that both these opposing counsels are the ones that are asking questions to attempt to eliminate you. And what a lot of counsels will say is that the trial is essentially decided at this point in time, when the what?
Oh,
that was up for so little time. It was called once. The defendant was a police officer. After they found out my son was a police officer, they dismissed me. Really wanted to be on the jury. Yeah, that's so. There are certain stipulations that allow them to cut you out for your lack of ability to be objective, but this is done both by the defense and the prosecuting attorneys, which seems strange as a way that we have set things up, because those are the people with the most to lose in selecting a jury. And so maybe you would assume that they cancel each other out and that they're both so invested that you would have to create a good jury. But in my mind, if the entire concept behind being tried by a jury of your peers is that you would get a fair shake and that, it wouldn't be entirely up to the government to determine whether or not you were guilty or innocent. If that's the purpose behind it, then why would you not want impartial and objective actors to determine who is on the jury? I don't fully understand, and maybe you can bring in some of your thoughts, why we would have the attorneys be the most intimately involved in selecting a jury.
Well, I guess how else would you do it? If you're going to have these challenges, if you're going to be able to challenge somebody and try to figure out if they're biased against either the state or if they're biased against, the defendant, who else is who's going to know the details well enough to even ask those questions? It's going to have to be them. So Gypsy Queen, when she said that the defendant was a police officer and that they found out that her son was a police officer, I'm going to guess that I would guess that the prosecution was probably the one that eliminated her, because they're like, well, her son's a police officer. She might feel favorably about police and not look at the evidence, with no bias. So that's probably why she ended up getting eliminated, right? That's how they saw it. They're like, oh, I detected bias here, or not the potential for bias, right? Because not everybody's going to be honest about their bias. These questions are so limited, probably, that, oh, look, I was right. That, we're just going to take a wild stab in the dark. You might not recognize your own bias, but we think it's going to be there. We think it's going to be there.
Yep. And a problem lies when what is considered eliminating becomes so wide as to make a jury pool of nearly no one in the country. And this is what happened, in my opinion, in the Elaine Maxwell case, which when we first decided that we were going to talk about this topic, a decision had not been reached about whether or not the verdict of the case was going to be thrown out. So good news is a judge, which it is quite strange, the things that we allow judges to just determine unilaterally and the things that we determine a jury needs to decide. But a judge decided, in this case, that the verdict would not be thrown out because one of the jurors omitted or lied by omission that he had not been. Wow, this sentence is not going well. Restart. He had been sexually abused as a child, and that was on the questionnaire was whether or not you had been the victim of, were friends with a victim of, or family members with a victim of sexual assault or abuse. Because the concept was that if you were among the pool of people that are connected to it, that you would have such strong feelings, which admittedly it does elicit strong feelings, that you would not be able to be objective about the Elaine Maxwell case. Um, and yeah, he omitted that he had been sexually abused as a child. He also came forward with the information later and then had to relive this out in the public square because of the size of the case, which is like,
Right.
you're compelled to be on jury duty, and then you're compelled to testify to information that perhaps you would rather not talk about.
Yeah.
I'm going down so many tangents, but it was crazy. Eventually, they determined that this was not enough to throw out the verdict because it is not necessarily true that somebody cannot be objective if they have been sexually abused. The problem with this question is that they were using it to eliminate jurors. And in the case that Ellie was on, they were using a very similar question. Now, they use the term personal experience, which is obviously more open to interpretation and allowed them to select a jury from the body of people that were there. But here's what that question, the Elaine Maxwell case, really selects for. It selects for people that are ignorant to what is happening around them. If you take as true the fact that in their lifetimes, somewhere between 1 in 5 and 1 in 6 women are the victims of sexual assault or abuse, and somewhere around 1 in 10 men are the victims of sexual assault and abuse, then you are friends or family with someone that has been the victim of sexual assault. And if you think that you haven't, you just don't know. You didn't. You're either an incredible statistical anomaly, or you know people, which I think might be eliminating for a jury, or you just don't know. And being ignorant to sexual assault around you, to me, is more disqualifying in observing a sexual assault case than than actually knowing someone that has done it. Because if you don't realize that this is a real problem, you would probably hear something about sexual assault and go, well, that's crazy. No one would do that. Somebody did that on Ellie's trial. Somebody was like, oh, why would somebody do this? And it was like, did you just wake up? Did you wake up yesterday? What are you talking about? So
yeah, Gypsy Queen is saying, I thought for women it was higher. Interesting. So statistically, it's really difficult with women because, we don't report it. But no woman gets out. I like to say no woman gets out alive. Every woman has been touched inappropriately, has been harassed in some way sexually because of their gender. It's in my mind, it's 100%. Do I think those are all assault? I mean, in the loosest definition of the word, somebody touching me that I didn't give permission to touch me is assault. But I think that
I think that these questionnaires are operating with a little bit more of a strict definition of sexual assault, and 1 in 6 is considered the most conservative end of the spectrum, which is why I use it, because if the most conservative end of the spectrum is still an incredibly disturbing number, let's just use that one, because it's the easiest to push up against any protest. Now, some estimates go to 1 in 3, 1 in 4 for that strict definition of sexual assault. Of course, it's like any woman that has walked around anywhere has been catcalled. I mean, that's sexual harassment. At least in this day and age, it is essentially unavoidable in a lifetime. If you're on the internet, it's probably happened in terms of sexual harassment. So, of course, everyone has some closeness to it, unless they have complete blinders up to it. Hilariously, and also incredibly depressingly, one of the jurors in this sexual assault trial that Ellie was involved in afterwards revealed that her feelings that the defendant was not guilty were somewhat tied to the fact that she had a similar experience when she was younger, where she got blackout drunk and then woke up with somebody regrettable next to her. And she was like, well, I mean, if I considered this situation rape, which this situation was different, but if I considered this, then I would have to think that what I went through was some form of sexual assault. And it's like, yeah,
The number
you would
the
have to
number of
think that way.
women the number of women that aren't ready to think that blame themselves for getting themselves into a situation where they drank too much, and now anything that happened after that was my fault, you know. And it's
Yep.
just like, why do we give somebody a pass for touching me with their penis? You know,
Yep.
I didn't, or any other part of their body. No, I didn't give you permission. It doesn't matter if I'm asleep, if I am if I'm under the care of a doctor and I'm incapacitated there, if I got myself drunk, and then I climbed into my own bed to go to sleep. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter what you did. It
Yep.
doesn't give somebody permission. It doesn't. And it's so hard because I think there are a lot of women that aren't ready to realize that happened to them because they can't. It's much easier to blame yourself and change your, you're like, okay, I won't do that again. I won't do that again. You know, but
I don't even require, I mean, I don't think it's a requirement that you go through your own history and like decide to, or like, determine things that you have dealt with as traumatic. I don't know if that's worthwhile, but if your reaction to the fact that you've had similar experiences is to illegitimize people that did genuinely have traumatic experiences that have similarities to your own experience, if that's your reaction, then you've gone too far, right?
Yep.
You've passed the goalposts, and now you are actively dissuading people from coming forward with information.
Absolutely.
And so,
and I think what I find interesting, I don't know if it's interesting. I don't know. It's just it's interesting. We'll go with interesting. The idea that, so when there's a trial, it's all about the defendant. We are judging this person and what they did. Was it a crime? Yes or no? Did they do it? That's what you're there to discuss. But,
yep.
We kind of leave out the judgment that goes to the victim. Especially during, I don't know, having not really gone through one of these voir dire, what it's like. But do we question them about their bias concerning the victim? If you're not the right kind of victim, do you give a shit? So for this woman, oh, well, she was drunk, so I don't give a shit about her. Whatever happened to her, whatever's happened to her. If you are a drug dealer and you get shot by another drug dealer, well, who cares about them, right? They did that to themselves. Yep. That's their problem. So how often do we sort of not care because we don't care about the victim? The victim isn't important. This is about the defendant. I don't know. It's just interesting. Are you not the right kind of victim sometimes to get justice?
Yeah, I mean, in this case, it felt like it felt true in multiple ways. And what was crazy is, as I heard the case, I thought, well, it's terrible that you need the right kind of victim, but this felt like the right kind of victim. This felt like, all right, if there's a slam dunk of a victim, it's one who immediately cries out that this is a sexual assault after the assault occurring. There was not days between. These things are still perfectly legitimate. I still recognize them as sexual assault. But in terms of criminal prosecution, it's great if you immediately flag it as sexual assault. Immediately contacted people, immediately went for a rape kit. The police were immediately contacted. She was in med school, so she's incredibly intelligent, well versed. I mean, I don't want to get too far into praising doctors because we know my feelings there. But in general, she knows words. She understands how brains work, etc.
She's a driven person who looks like they have their act together.
Driven person, has their act together. This occurred in the midst of an act of charity. It's like, all I could think the whole time is, okay, well, as victims go, slam dunk. For getting a prosecution, slam dunk. The issue was, to some extent, that I think that the perpetrator was not the right kind of perpetrator because people just couldn't get themselves to see him as a criminal. And I'm tiptoeing around the concept of what I want to say, because one of the foundational precepts of, I'm just going to say the name of the perpetrator because you're allowed to do that, one of the foundational elements of the case against Ryan Backus in New York City was that when this occurred, he contested that it was a consensual act where he was cheating on his girlfriend in the same room as his girlfriend who was sleeping. So that's what his defense is, that he was sleeping with a drunk woman who was hosting him and his girlfriend and slept with her next to his girlfriend. So already he's going, his defense is going, kind of a piece of shit. Kind of a piece of shit. There was no, they never said that there was some open relationship nonsense. They just straight up were like, oh, he cheated. They brought in the girlfriend who was testifying for the defense. And she was like, oh, yeah, I was mad that he had cheated. It was considered cheating. So we're already acknowledging that he's a piece of shit. And yet, when it came to jury deliberations, there were a number of members of the jury who were like, I just don't see how this guy could do that. Or like that they were giving him things like, well, he must have felt like he was invited in. And it was like, why do you feel that way? Now, the people that were coming to that conclusion were dudes. And they were dudes that had said that they don't have any personal experience with sexual assault. So I do think this reflects upon the fact that people just don't get it till they get it. And if these dudes genuinely think that they have been nowhere near sexual assault, I wonder if I had been nowhere near it, if I knew no one that was a victim of it. I do wonder if I would have a hard time believing that someone that otherwise seems normal would commit an act of sexual assault. Now, of course, Google my name, baby. I have seen that, and I do believe it now. But maybe if 8,000 different things never happened and I was put on a jury, would I be a person that said, how would a person that otherwise seems normal do this? Otherwise seems normal still cheats on his girlfriend with somebody in the same room.
You went to college at a big school full of very smart people, right? And rape was happening all over the place. It was happening all over the place to these boys, right? These boys were doing it, weren't recognizing what they were doing as rape, right? Somebody being passed out in the bushes. Sure, that's fair game. No, it's not fair game. And because these were the type of guys who, they've got such a future ahead of them. This was just one misstep. We can't ruin their entire future over this. They get to walk, right? If you look the right way, you have the right skin tone, you've got that right demographic of not just you're a man, but also you're going places, right? You're going places.
Yep.
Well, we can't ruin your life over you not knowing that she didn't want your dick inside her. We can't do that. It's insane. But also screw her, because she didn't have as much earning power as him anyway, right? She also could have been going places, right? We just said that this girl you were talking about was a med student. She sounds like she was going places. I think now, I know that you've told me about this before also. She was in a different bed than the girlfriend, right? The girlfriend was they weren't all in one big bed.
Her bed. So just going through some more details. It was her birthday, so happy birthday to her. And she had a party with friends, and her sister's friend was invited to the party. Her sister's friend is the eventual perpetrator's girlfriend. Invited to the party, and the girlfriend and boyfriend came to the party. They went to a couple of bars, but they live out on Long Island. Now, here's a brief moment of New York geography. There's Manhattan, and then there's a bunch of places that are really far away. 10 miles here is like 2 fucking hours. So them living on Long Island, especially late at night, there's one train an hour out to where they are. It's kind of a pain in the ass. So, nice lady, the future victim invited the girlfriend and boyfriend to stay at her studio apartment. And she blew up an air mattress for them. And they were to sleep on that air mattress, and she would sleep in her bed alone, as she did usually. And then, in this case, she then woke up at about 5 a.m. with that girl's boyfriend on top of her and inside of her. And this was the case that a jury was unable to prosecute. It ended up 6-6. There was jury. The jury was hung. It was 5 men on the not guilty side. It was 6 women on the guilty side, and 1 woman who said not guilty because she had had a relatively similar experience. And also, based on some things that she said, I think she might hate women. So who knows how that worked out? Sort of a Kristen Sinema situation. But what are you going to do?
But a difficult thing to maybe ask questions to voir dire your way out of, to have picked up on the fact that she hated women. I do want to talk about gender a little bit and race and how they impact a jury, because we do have some laws about that. And so I think we should know by now that a jury is supposed to represent a cross-section of the population in that area. So An all-white jury for a black defendant, that doesn't feel like a jury of your peers. But it used to be pretty commonplace, and you sort of still had to rationalize that it wasn't what it looked like it was. All of these black men were eliminated from the jury for reasons other than their race. But if that's not always the case. So what happened was there was a case, it was Botson versus Kentucky in 1986. Botson was a black man, and he was convicted of burglary by an all-white jury.
Dude, I'm sorry. I got to pause this. I just got some mail, and you're not going to believe this. It's jury duty.
They got you!
That is unbelievable. Ah, shit. All right, yeah, go on, but that's so funny.
So, when they were seating the jury, all of the black potential jurors were getting eliminated in the, I can't ever say the word, peremptory challenge, they strike people. And as soon as the last black person was eliminated, the defense attorney was like, well, we need to just seat a whole new jury. This is not, this ain't it. And the judge was like, nah, just go ahead. And he got convicted. And because of that, it went all the way up to the Supreme Court. And it was a violation of the Equal Protections Clause of the, what is it? I guess one of the amendments, the 6th Amendment. Let me see, which one is that? The 14th Amendment. It's the 14th Amendment. So that's how they now have to really, really rationalize your jury. But also, you can't just eliminate everybody like that. You just can't. Now, that was in 1986, so not that long ago in the grand scheme of things. The gender one came up in 1994. And I just want to tell you, well...
The Dark Ages.
It's not the Dark Ages. Not the Dark Ages at all. But, I have such a problem with it. And I'll tell you, you'll pick up why in a second. So it's called JEB versus Alabama. And Alabama was suing...
Is it not Jeb?
It's not Jeb. It's initials.
J.E.B. Okay, well...
Right, they're just initials. Now, let me tell you. So they were suing Jeb. We'll just call him Jeb. For child support based on paternity. So it's child support. And the state used the peremptory challenge to exclude 9 of the 10 men in the jury pool. And then the defense struck the last man for some reason. And so it was an all-female jury, and he was found to be the father and needed to pay all of this back child support, right? So interestingly, so it's a paternity. So Jeb was a dude with an all-female jury, and they said, oh, man, that's got to be some bias. All those ladies, of course, they want all their child support money, right? So
yeah, their period's probably synced up.
Yes. Why didn't they do better choosing their men? So anyway, the fact that we had to have a man being mistreated because of his gender to make this a rule is fascinating. And the only way that gender rules ever change is when a man is being discriminated against. And I'm just going to take another quick detour.
I'm gonna push back on that. As a man, I'm going to push back against that. 1 sec. Let me just put this in a man bun. So, while I understand what you're saying, maybe I need to mansplain being a defendant to you. And most of them are men. Most defendants are men for some reason. So, if you were just to take a random case of gender discrimination, statistically, it's going to be a man who is the defendant in one of these cases. So, I'm just saying. It could
Listen,
be a
I
couple
hear
things.
what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. But I want to step into another realm, okay? Now, this was a Supreme Court case, so this was just somebody saying this law is messed up. This wasn't like this wasn't a criminal proceeding. This wasn't child support. This was just, I think this law is messed up, and let's bring it up. And interestingly, Ruth Bader Ginsburg was involved in this because she was a lawyer for the American Civil Liberties Union, and she knew that you can't change gender laws by pointing out how they discriminate against women. So she found men being discriminated against. In Oklahoma in 1976, the case is called Craig versus Buren, and men in Oklahoma were not allowed to buy beer if they were under 21, because men will rabble rouse and get intoxicated and cause all kinds of trouble because they're dudes, right? This is the stereotype that we're making here. But women, they could buy beer at 18. So their girlfriends could buy them beer because women, well, they're not going to get intoxicated and start rabble rousing and causing a ruckus and getting in street brawls and all kinds of nonsense. So women were interestingly allowed to buy beer in Oklahoma at 18, but men could not. So this is how the first gender rulings were made in the United States, was because men were being discriminated against. Freaking fascinating, because that's the way you have to get it done. It's the only way to get it done. It's amazing. Right now we have in the news all of these interesting school board rulings in states, that want to limit discussions of gender in schools, right? And so what do? You push back and you say, you're right. We won't talk about gender in school anymore. Everybody's a they. I'm no longer... we won't talk about mothers and fathers and husbands and wives. We won't talk about all of these normal cis things anymore because you're right, they're discriminatory. So everybody's a they. I'm no longer Mrs. Wasserline. I'm now Mix Wasserline, or it's just great. The only way to do it, MX for some reason, that's the way that they're,
I don't fuck
making
with MX,
gender neutral. I know.
Otherwise,
just call
I find it very good. But MX, yeesh.
Yeah, I don't love MX either. You could just call me Maria, right? If I was the teacher, just say Maria. You can just call me by my first name. Parents will love that. It's just, that's the only way to do it, is to make it, make the the less discriminated class feel like they're being discriminated against, and then flip that shit around so that it benefits the actual discriminated class. That's what I'm saying. It's just fucking interesting. I'm a little sweary right now. I have feelings about it. That's
Yep.
I guess we can get back on topic. I don't know. Only if you want to. I did want to say.
I don't care about topic.
Oh, okay.
Mostly
I did want to. What? Go ahead.
Mostly, I just wanted to say that jury selection, it doesn't make sense to put it in the hands of defense and prosecution. That is my main point. And then also, it's crazy that any juries come to any conclusions, especially now, because something has kind of happened recently, and maybe I shouldn't be surprised that everything can be politicized, but I think that verdicts are politicized now. I think that the Republicans are the guilty party and Democrats are the innocent party. And then it flips based on certain characteristics. But, what
do you mean?
Democrats are the pro-innocence project party and whatnot. And so there's just if you have a largely Democrat system, or Democrat population, then you're going to have a lot harder time getting a guilty verdict. And if you have a largely Republican system, then they're going to assume that you're guilty. Population, thank you. Then they're going to assume that you're guilty at a greater percentage of the time. And if you get a mix in the jury, oof. So anyway, juries are quite strange. I think they're a good system, but they're not given enough information is my big thing. They're not told enough. I mean, they're given years and years and years were spent within courtrooms determining what all of these words in the Constitution mean. But then when you hand things over to a jury, you just say, beyond a reasonable doubt. And then you depend on 12 idiots to determine what those words mean together, you know? And people can't even use the right there. And you want them to parse the sentence beyond a reasonable doubt. I mean, try and get somebody to understand what reasonable means.
Exactly.
Quickly. And then beyond it, and then what is a doubt? And also, and they say like it's 99%. Is it? I don't know. Anyway, juries are quite strange. They're not given enough information. They shouldn't be selected by lawyers. They should be more common. And the reason that they're not more common, because it's only 4% of criminal cases ever get a grand jury or a jury. A grand jury is the thing that determines whether or not something goes to prosecution. Only 4% go to that. And the reason that is cited for that is how expensive juries are. Hey, if enough crimes are happening where it's too expensive to give people a fair trial, maybe some of those crimes are nonsense. Because here's the thing. I went and was peripheral to some of the most prestigious schools in the country. And 90% of the people in all of those schools could be prosecuted for a felony in many states. If 90% of the best people are committing a felony using
What
a
felony?
Schedule I drug,
Oh, okay.
then your laws are bad. You need to re-examine them and find new ways of doing things, because we need juries for prosecuting very real crimes and for absolving very innocent, falsely accused people. Both of those are moral necessities, and we need a jury for it. Also, plea deals are bullshit. There we go. There's my whole pedestal. That's all I care about. Fuck plea deals. Everyone deserves a jury. Stop discouraging juries. Stop rolling your eyes at public defenders that want juries. The system.
Wait, who's rolling their eyes at
really work.
public defenders and juries?
Bro, prosecutors, the entire court system they will stop giving public defenders cases if they are regularly trying to push their cases to trial. If you're not successfully getting plea deals, which is obviously counter to the purpose of you as a defense lawyer, if you're not regularly getting plea deals out of your clients, you are going to start getting fewer and fewer cases or worse and worse cases, as the case might be, from whoever gives out cases in your court system. And so the public defenders know that they need to try to get plea deals. But I don't know why it's so weird to the judicial system to want justice, but a plea deal is justice on neither side. You're either threatening an innocent person with worse punishment if a trial goes poorly, or you're allowing someone to not get a just punishment because you're not actively trying to make them guilty. Plea deals should only come from the defense, I think.
Huh.
Anyway, that's my whole point. Now we can talk about your thing.
I didn't know about the eye rolling thing, so that's interesting. But it's true. I have a problem with plea deals. It really feels like defendants feel like they don't have a choice. Like, if you can't afford a trial, and who can? Only the rich. Only the rich. So that makes the justice system for the rich. For everybody else, here's a plea deal. Here you go. You know, you're going to serve some time. This is going to affect your life. Here's the least amount of effect we're willing to offer you. But also, this is on your record forever. And now, good luck getting a job. You're going to be poor forever. It's like, it's an impossible situation.
Well, and also, oh, so an anecdote that connects to this, right? You would think that because the teachers at MIT are the most experienced in whatever field of science they teach, that they would be the best teachers. I think people think that, and that's one of the reasons that it's considered a prestigious school. However, the experience of, I'd say, 50% of the classes at MIT is that these professors are so ingrained in whatever field of science, and they're so deep into the field of science that they teach, that if they teach an early science, they don't know how to provide you, the student, with the tools to get where they are, because they already know everything at the foundation. So they don't even know what you don't know. Okay?
Right.
That kind of thinking is the only kind of thinking that could lead to lawyers and prosecutors and DAs and everything and judges thinking that the way that interrogations work and the way that plea deals work make any sense, because all of the people that are in the system have been in the system and know the ins and outs and know what's possible and know what might happen at a trial and know how certain things are going to impact how a jury looks at things. They're in the system. They're deeply in it. And then they bring in somebody with no power who hopefully has never been involved in the judicial system. And they say, well, you can't get a better deal than this. How the fuck would I know? I've never even seen the courthouse.
Exactly.
I didn't know which building it was. This could have been a jail. I do not know. And so when you tell me something, I'm going to accept it as true. And then these people take plea deals and they're like, oh, well, they should have advocated for themselves more. They're not lawyers.
They're not lawyers.
They don't know the system.
Yeah.
So that's why a fair trial is written, a fair and speedy trial is written into the Constitution, is that you need that as an individual. You need that protection. However, the Supreme Court has over and over again allowed for plea deals, and they take the power away from individuals that are thrown into the judicial system. And you can be thrown into the judicial system if you talk to cops. So cops are doing their job.
Don't talk to cops.
Okay?
Don't talk to cops.
But don't talk to them. Like, don't when they start asking you questions, they're not going to use what you say for you. Usually. That's not their job. Jesus.
I know.
All right.
I mean, tell them your name, though. Tell them your name. And listen, if your child is missing and you need them and you want them to look for it and they're like, can I search your house? Say, yeah, hurry up. Go search my house real quick. Get that done and then go find my kid. Because, like, that's the only time to me where I'm like, just do everything they tell you to do so they can go find your kid so they're not wasting time. But the rest of the time, don't.
But what if you have weed in the house, Mom? And then you got a felony. I'm telling you, bro.
But I don't think that they can do that. They can then find you guilty of weed.
Yes. If you invite them into their house and they're going to say it's under criminal suspicion that you might have been involved in your own child's disappearance. So that provides criminal suspicion. You invite them in, so no warrant needed. If they find evidence of a different crime, they can prosecute that crime.
I don't know.
You don't have protections.
No, I know that sometimes what you're saying is true. I know what you're saying is true. I guess it depends. You're right. I will say, like, you would keep your pot in some sort of a container that a child wouldn't fit in, so they shouldn't be looking in that container for a child. But
okay, yes, there are multiple variables that a lawyer would know. A lawyer would understand how to interact with them, right? But you don't, because you're not in the system. So you don't know where you can get fucked. And you will be, which is why trials are necessary. And if you have so many laws that you have so many people going to prison that you can't pay for juries, that's bad. That's not good. So fix that. Also, it's not a for-profit system. It is right now, but it shouldn't be. So work on it.
Yeah, you would think. It's interesting how many jobs are not like regular 9-to-5 jobs, right? Like, why isn't the judge just, I'm here from 8 to 4, 8 to 5 every day. Every day, whoever's in front of me is in front of me. You know what I mean? But no. And the same thing with lawyers. No. But you would think that they would just get paid a nice hourly rate by the court while they're there.
Yep.
This is just what we're going to do every 5 days a week. We're just going to trudge forward like any other job. But that's not the way that we view it, right? They get paid extra for their expertise, and I have no idea how judges get paid. I assume it's a salary, but
I don't know. You know what jurors get paid? Fucking squadoosh. They get paid so little. I know I just indicated zero. They get paid more than zero. But in New York, which is a freaking liberal stalwart, should be very invested in making sure that they have fair trials, theoretically, right? In New York, your employer for the first 3 days that you're in jury duty needs to pay you. Not what you make. They need to pay you $40 a day. So if you convert that to dollars per hour, it's not minimum wage. So they need to pay you under minimum wage, and that doesn't nothing to do with what you actually make. You only won't make that $40 a day if you make less than $40 a day. So they're still trying to fuck you if you're poor. But
oh, well, that's interesting.
if you make over that, if you make $100 an hour, you make $40 a day now. They only do that for the next 3 days, and then if the trial goes on, which it will, then the court will start paying you, and that's where the real money is, because they start paying you $40 a day. That's it. And guess what? If you're not on the actual jury, if you're one of the reserves in case somebody needs to be knocked off the jury, they get sick, and something happens, right? If you're one of the reserve jurors, you get $40 a day, but you don't even get lunch. You
don't get lunch?
In Manhattan, $40 is not food for the day. It's not rent. It's not one of your expenses. And you are compelled to be there. So they can just require you to take a significant financial hit. Now, I'm agreeing that being on a jury is a civic necessity. It's a duty.
Yes.
I just got it. I'm going to try, as long as it's legal, I'm going to try and be on whatever trial I just got called for. But I agree, it's a civic necessity. But your court should not be asking you to take a loss to participate in some unbelievably boring shit. Because that is how you create a system where everyone gets one of these letters and they go, how to get off jury duty.
Exactly.
Jury nullification? So that is not a good system. And the only thing that you're doing is you're limiting the pool of people that can be on your jury. It's no longer a jury of your peers. It's a jury of your peers who can't figure out how to get off jury duty, dumb, or can afford to be on jury duty. That's not your peers, dude. Most people on this island can't afford to be on jury duty. So that's not your peers. Pay jurors more. What the fuck? This is nonsense. This system. Dude, $40 a day? I'm sorry. Is it 1920? Is there cocaine in your fucking Coca-Cola? Pay people more.
Ooh. Coca-Cola.
You get paid more on unemployment. I'm doing a civic duty. You should be paid more on unemployment.
Listen.
But why would I get paid more to not do my civic duty than to do it? If I was on unemployment and I got called for jury duty, I would no longer get it. That is dumb. Who the fuck is running this country? A bunch of dorks.
Oligarchs.
Fix it. That's why I voted.
I'd love it. I'd love it to be fixed for you, but you know what I mean? Like, you got to work for your money, and that's your civic duty. You do that. That's a voluntary thing. You do that on your own time. Go make your money after you're done.
Okay, so what you're telling me? Before the election, you're coming up to me and you're going, "Oh, hey, buddy, dude, I'm gonna do so much change and shit." And then I voted. I voted in the midterms for you. The midterms. They don't give you a day off for the fucking midterms. Go, I vote for you, and then what are you gonna do? You're gonna do fucking nothing? You're gonna do nothing for me? Excuse me, I got jury duty. I'm compelled to participate, and I can't make no fucking money. Jesus!
Yes.
Dude, bunch of dorks.
We listen. Yeah. Our entire judicial system is jacked up.
There's not one part that makes any fucking sense.
No.
Okay?
There's not.
There's not. There's. And
you can't throw it away. You can't throw it away and start over. You have to just systematically, try to just chip away
I think we're getting there. I think the concept of a jury is good. Yes. I think the concept of a civil and a criminal court and different requirements for evidence are good. I think that the right to a defense is good. I don't know if I think that private attorneys are good. Maybe, maybe, how in wrestling there's like weight classes, and in chess there's like a rating system, and like, of course, if you play chess, if you're an 1800 and you play a 700, you're gonna shit on them. You're gonna shit on them if you don't have pawns, right? But maybe we get that for lawyers, because if you're rich, you can just bring in a grandmaster to fight a like just out of college public defender. Hey man, you could murder 1 billion people, and that guy would still win that case. Your guy would still win that case. Money shouldn't determine whether or not you are guilty or not. That was kind of the whole fucking concept that the Constitution was working off of. But,
Whoa!
I know? I'm just some guy in a fucking pink sweatshirt. What are you wearing?
What do you know? We already did an episode about the police and a little bit of the history of the police, and it's 100% about money. The police are for the rich people because they pay for them. That's how it all started. We needed to protect the goods in the harbor. You want to protect the goods in the harbor for commerce. People with money do more commerce. So yes, that's what the police are for. They're here to keep commerce moving. And then to grease the wheels by keeping the right elected officials in there, they're going to keep everything moving nicely for the rich people, for the rich. Sorry.
And yet the whole country was founded off of this concept of oppression and of oligarchs and trying to get away from it. And we took a step. We took a step in the right direction. We took one step. I mean, everyone's vote means the same except in the presidential election with the Electoral College. But in general, if you live next door to somebody, your vote is equal to theirs if you're able to vote. So that was a good step. Hey, that was pretty good. I think kids should vote. And then,
kids should vote?
I think kids should vote. Fuck you for just coming up with a random age. When I was 12, I was smarter than more than 50% of the voting populace. Okay?
But most 12-year-olds are not, though. You're an anomaly.
Hey man, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if you're letting dumb people vote, you better let them all vote. Okay? If they can register and go into the voting booth alone, they can vote, baby. Kids should vote. All right? We're getting to the final 2 minutes of the episode where I get some of my real opinions out there, dude. Kids should vote.
Kids should vote.
Kids should vote.
If they can scroll their name.
Yep.
Oh, so secret voting. It's all got to be on the down low. Well, that might be hard.
Would people have kids to increase their own vote?
Oh!
That would be crazy. It would be up there crazy. But, kids' votes matter. Bars, dude. Sarah Z with the bars.
Yep. Oh my gosh.
Would people have kids to increase their own vote? Crazy people would. I mean, that's that's the whole concept behind Utah, right?
The whole concept is to have more voters?
Yeah.
I don't think that's the concept.
No, you can have more you can have a more perfect world if you make more Mormons. And if you keep making more Mormons,
that part
eventually it'll be okay. That's the concept.
All right, I just needed to let it roll a little further down the hill. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, kids should vote. What are some other terrible but true opinions that I have?
Like, don't get me started on the Electoral College, because I got some feelings about that as well.
You know what's crazy is these the Electoral College. But it was Republicans that were against it, and how did we not know? how did we not know that misinformation was not about to absolutely grip the neck of our nation in 2012 when all of my friends in Utah were like, Mitt Romney won the election, but the Electoral College was what made Barack Obama win. Guess who else said that? Trump. Dude,
Wait,
Barack Obama won the popular vote, and you could just Google it. And I said to my friends, I said, no, he didn't. He didn't win. Are you crazy? No. Barack Obama won the popular vote and the Electoral College.
okay, that's what I was
Google
like. Wait,
it.
Mitt Romney won the popular vote?
No, he didn't.
Okay.
This is why we should have known. And I said, Google it to my friends, and then they did, and they said, well, Google's wrong.
So it was already happening. It was
already
happening.
And
Google was
Trump
already
saying
wrong. Google was already wrong in 2012.
Dude, like
Fascinating.
37% of, at that time, 37% of Republicans were pro-birther conspiracy. How did we know? The Electoral College is a fucking oxymoron.
It kind of is.
It's a joke.
It's a
But then
it's a great joke even.
Even my smart friends
Google
who are
wrong.
Republican, even Ellie will know exactly who I'm talking about when I say this. Even them, and they're like not pro-Trump Republicans from MIT, and 100% were against the Electoral College until it started benefiting Republicans. They're like, well, what about the minority opinion? Dude, there's one position. Now, I'm fine with first past the vote. We can change the voting system, but
Sure.
It should be for all the people.
It
right?
should be for all the people.
That's the point. I'm fine with first past the post. Let's do ranked choice for president. No states, okay? No more states. Just first past the post. Look, baby, I'm all in. I know that my guy won't get in because I'm operating on the fringes, and my guy's not getting in. But dude, I'll rank Biden 7th, and that's what happens. I'd probably rank at this point. I'd probably rank Mitt Romney above Biden. He's probably my firm 5.
Yep.
Who's
He's
between
really
those
turning around,
two?
old Mitt Romney.
I don't know. Let's rank my current ranked choice ballot. Okay, number 1, Andrew Yang. Whoops, I'm canceled. Okay.
This was fun, Colin. Oh, are you frozen?
Number 2, my dog.
Oh, wait, you were still talking? Oh, shoot. You were frozen for a second on my screen.
No, I paused in real life.
Oh, and then you said number 2, my dog?
Yeah.
Very nice.
I'm just trying to think through. Okay, so 1, Andrew Yang, 2, my dog, 3, Bernie Sanders, 4,
Let's just leave it there.
Owen. 5,
Owen
Mitt
would be
Romney.
good.
5, Mitt
Owen
Romney.
is my other son.
6. 6.
Could you imagine your brother as president, though? He would be like, what?
My mom. I don't think that would go so good, Sarah. I don't think it would go so good.
No, not me.
My mom's foreign policy, not great.
What are you talking about?
Don't get us started on Bolivia.
Oh, yeah, I have to do some research on it now. See, I would surround myself with people that know stuff and would give me the information, and then I'd go, let's go with what that guy said. That's what I would do.
I mean, that's essentially what Biden does.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it. It's a good way to do it.
Where's Poland? I don't remember.
Do they make pottery there? Is that what we're talking about? Pottery? We want to send tanks there? I don't understand what's happening.
Where'd my aviators go?
Ice cream for everyone.
I took them. I took the aviators. So not Trump. They're coming over the border. They're taking the aviators.
Oh my gosh. This is how we know that we're hitting the end of the show, is when Collins just starts doing impressions.
Mr. Trump, give the aviators back, please.
I didn't know you had an Obama. I didn't know you had an Obama in your back pocket.
Nice. The thing about my impressions is they can change. So can I. Hey.
I had no idea.
Is that one of the better ones?
You just gave me 3 different presidents. 3.
Now, if only Bush I don't have. Clinton, I mean, I can play the saxophone.
You don't have Bush. I mean, you've met Bush. You've met Bush.
Yeah, but he doesn't talk the same on TV as he talks in real life. In real life, he's like a normal guy, and on TV, he's like an idiot. I truly don't remember what he speaks like.
I still have that handprint on my back from when he smacked me. Kaplow!
Yep.
This is a true story.
Dude, let's not cancel Bush over anything other than the war crimes.
We liked him. He was a good dude. He's a good person. Do you have to agree with somebody's policy to also recognize that at their core they're a good person? No.
No, dude.
That's the difference.
I've got multiple uncles I feel that way about. I think they operate with big old clown shoes, but good people. Good people all the same.
Big old clown shoes. Right.
It's COVID has done some crazy stuff for the uncle rankings. We should issue those at some point. But
they're all vaccinated.
I know they're all vaccinated, but some of them in the early COVID game, and I was like, give me a fucking break, Uncle Bill.
Okay, let's hope he doesn't watch this one. Okay.
It's all good. Okay, I got no more. I've got. Do you watch Big Mouth? I have another impression for that.
No.
All right. Well,
I find that art very frightening.
You find? Oh yeah, the faces in it.
Yeah, they're too hard.
Yeah.
All right.
I got nothing. Anything you want to talk about? Let's do the part of the episode where we're just straight shelling, dude.
That's kind of what's happening right here. We kind of. I mean, I got another show. I got another show to do in a couple hours with John. So I might need to take a break.
Because you're an influencer.
Ew,
with an audience.
Not really. Maybe someday. But I'd rather just shoot the breeze with you, and if people like it, then that makes me feel good.
Oh, we should tell is it 5 viewers right now? Or
6?
Or what? 6? We should tell our 6 viewers, hey, we've got a little follower reward thing. I don't know what the right word for it is, but if we're able to get in the next month, let's say, if we're able to get 50 live viewers, which is essentially the whole country, if we're able to get 50 live viewers, I'll cut my hair. If we get 100, I'll let you guys choose the haircut. I won't let you choose how long it stays on my head, but I'll let you choose the haircut. So if I got to go bald, this is the next month, okay? We're going to get to 100 someday, so I'm not letting you choose it. But next 4 episodes, if we get to 100 viewers, you choose a haircut. If we get to 50 live viewers, I'll get a haircut.
I know what haircut I want, but it's mainly because I want the haircut. And so maybe if you get the haircut, I'll feel like I got the haircut. Okay. So he's a person from 90 Day Fiancé. His name's Hamza. I am obsessed with his hair. Mm-hmm. Obsessed with his hair. Let me find a good picture of his hair. Dude, no. Need a good picture. If
it's just like a haircut, I'm probably going to just return to like the Prince Charming haircut. Take like 5 inches off.
If it's just a haircut?
Yeah, if we get.
You mean if it's not interesting?
If we don't, if we don't get to 100, because 100 is you choose.
You'll just get a
haircut. So if I
haircut.
choose, I'm just going to do the Prince Charming haircut.
Oh, okay. Dang, why can't I get any good? I'm like flipping through his Instagram. Give me a good one of his hair. Well, that's okay. Well, I don't know if you can see. Let's see. You see? So I don't know if you can tell.
It just looks
It's
like
long on
slick
the
back hair.
top. Well, it's long on the
Yep.
top, but then he's got like this like a hard part low. I can't. Where's my hair? He's got a hard part lower, so a big line here, right?
Yep.
And then he's got one on the other side that kind of cuts across like this into the. I can't. My head's backwards. That cuts across at an angle into the front a little bit. That's it.
Well, if you want
It's cool.
me to see me get this 90-day fiance haircut, then let's get us to 100 live viewers in the next 4 weeks.
Sarah
tell
says
your friends.
she's going to get like 17 more devices. Just watch out 17 devices.
Okay, don't tell your friends. Just buy more iPhones. Make more Google accounts, you know?
See?
But
Gypsy Queen is all about Hamza's hairdo. It's a good haircut. It's a good one.
it's styling.
Right? That's what I'm saying.
With a G.
With a G.
Get roasted, Gypsy
For
Queen.
Gypsy.
Uh-oh. I've been canceled again.
As per usual. Many reasons to cancel Colin.
I walked in, I was like, wow, I just got canceled.
Hey, do you know what? This is not really related. It was related to something I saw you say. Okay, so I started to upload some of our old stuff, and then I watched them, and I was like, these are so bad.
Yep.
But you were saying one thing about how it's really easy amongst your friend group that are to say, I can make a lot of money if I just go far right. You don't believe it. If I just lean really hard right, I can be an intellectual talking head on the right. And it's interesting because on the left, we don't have angry talking heads like they do on the right. You know, we're a lot more, a little more even-keeled about stuff. We don't get all...
We're a lot more comedians.
Yeah, there's more comedians. There's less, you know, vitriol when we shout about things, or we get over it quicker, whatever it is. And so... have you thought about, since you're really good at just tapping into your angry, you know, maybe you are the voice that we need on the left, who is an over-the-top intellectual who's really mad about stuff?
I mean, I actually do think that exists. I mean, I think if you go like far left, then like Chapo Trap House is that. Now I think they're again, I think they're a bunch of dorks. Do not take this as me endorsing shit Chapo Trap House says. They've got stupid opinions, and I've
never even heard of that. Chapo?
They make liberals look worse than we already do look, which is often quite bad. Yeah, Chapo Trap House. I mean, they're communists. But,
they're communists. Well, that's too far.
There's another one. Well, there's another one that said, I forget his last name, but his first name is Hassan. And Alan, who has, of course, you know, transformed into essentially a liberal Pizzagatist, is not actually Pizzagate, but the leftist equivalent of it. You know, everyone's deep state, everyone's canceled. Andrew Yang hates Asians. You know, that classic stuff. Yeah, he's a pretty angry voice on the left, but he's also just laid back. I don't know, but he does get mad. Yeah, I could do it.
You think you could do it?
I mean, Jon Stewart was kind of a mad talking head. Even when I'm mad, I'm kind of funny.
He was funny, and he would, you know, I guess he had more nuance, right? There's light and shade. It wasn't just InfoWars screaming at you. So
I don't think I want to be InfoWars.
No.
I want to be funny angry.
Okay, then carry on.
I have no idea what the hell I feel old. I'm talking about Twitch streamers.
Twitch streamers. So good. Chapo Trap House is a Twitch
Chapo
streamer?
Trap House is actually a podcast. They also stream on Twitch, but they're a podcast.
Okay.
These are ultra leftist. Ultra leftist.
A little too far left. Too far.
I find myself agreeing with Hassan like 70% of the time. I find myself rolling my eyes at Chapo Trap House about 90% of the time. Yeah. Who I do find myself agreeing with 90% of the time is Sam Harris. But that,
Oh, your dad loves Sam Harris.
oh my God, tell liberals that, and this is what's hilarious, is that he is very much a Democrat. He's more conservative than me. He's very much a Democrat. But tell Democrats that you like Sam Harris, and they're like, oh, so you're a Republican. And it's like, have you listened? No. My favorite podcasts by him are the ones where he's absolutely obliterating Trump. They're so funny. You should listen to them. They are hilarious. And it's not him trying to be funny. It is him being. I mean, he writes books. Him being.
Doesn't he do like 4-hour podcasts though? They're like really long.
Some of them are, but for the most part,
Oh,
it's like 1 hour, 2 hours.
Oh, okay.
Lately, he's been doing a lot of them on Ukraine, and he's had opposing opinions on the podcast, which has been interesting. But personally, my bread and butter are his completely alone, clearly reading an essay that he's written podcasts, because he gets so deep with it. His insults are like, you gotta pause the show to just soak in the insults.
You're like,
And
did
also,
he say what I think he said? That kind of an
they're
insult?
so good. Yeah. And also, Sam Harris drinking game. Take a shot anytime he says, "This is how you play tennis without the net." I'm still struggling to figure out what it means, but he says it every podcast.
Okay.
This is how you play. This is how you play tennis without a net. And you're like, what?
Yeah, I don't know what that means. Why would you play tennis without a net? The net seems pretty critical.
I think I think he's
I'm gonna
essentially
ponder that
saying
one.
like, well, he's often talking about misinformation about it, and I think he's saying like taking the power of rules away from debate. I think that's what he's saying.
Oh.
Like, here's how you pretend to debate without any of the actual structure that leads to a real game. You've taken the game away.
Okay.
I think is what he's saying.
We're just bouncing the ball back and forth with the racket.
Yeah.
There's no game.
Or he's winning every point because he's just serving it twice. And, you can never run up close enough to him to hit the ball in the second bounce. And he's like, oh, I'm winning this debate. God, I'm so good. Over the net.
That's interesting, too. Okay. I like that. It's a fun visual. Okay.
He's full of shit like that. Okay. This last, 14 minutes of the podcast should be cut off. I find it funny that you've watched our old podcast and think that they're terrible. I'm sure that this is almost exactly the same, but I love all of our listeners.
No, you're probably right. It's probably exactly the same. It was a long one. Maybe I'll upload them and then I'll dump them all at once. That way people know.
I should create more structure, but I will next time.
You're trying.
More
You're trying to herd cats with your mom. It's fine.
Yep.
All right. Well, you look very pretty.
Are we gonna do the 30 seconds out singing?
Oh, you want to sing out? Yeah, let's sing out.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you,
Love you
everybody.
guys.
Thank you guys for keeping us company. Let me see if I can figure out how to do this. There we go. We're gonna sing us out.
Nobody asked on the YouTube channel Looney Tooney Stripper Squeegee because my mom can't figure out how to stream on our actual dedicated podcast YouTube. Yeah. Ooh. Yeah.
Nobody
asked.
Nobody.
There wasn't a person who asked, and they didn't, and so that's the end.
Nobody.
And you never end the stream after the end the stream at that point.